Check test. 1, 2, testing. Check test. 1, 2, testing, testing, testing. Well, it's in the afternoon and we are now attempting to do something to harness this power. And the truth is, I don't know if we can do it. Can I even stop it by hand? I don't. Well, my friend, now that the urgent firewood situation is behind me and well, if I'm already live, I didn't know that. I clicked on the wrong button is what happened. Sorry about that, but I just got finished putting all that videos together that I had to get ready for this morning. I've never done this before. I must have clicked on start streaming there, and I didn't realize it. I don't know how I clicked on that. So, hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. You never know what's going to happen. I'm seriously telling you. I was running around like a crazy man. You see my Superman shirt? Well, you'll be able to tell I'm actually Superman based on all the things I did just this morning, not including all the stuff it takes to put all these videos together. I did not click anything there. I swear to you. I was just sitting here and it just switched back. This thing's haunted. I don't think I clicked that button now. I think it did it on its own. I don't know how it did that. That's crazy. Just crazy. I don't even know. I don't even know if I should keep going. I'm really. Oh, it's just nuts. All right. Well, did you enjoy the play along last night? JD's something else, isn't he? He doesn't play much in front of me for whatever reason. He never has. And I think it's mostly because he's just being polite and he doesn't want to show me up. That's what I really think it is. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Bill, I think it is a ghost in this machine. I swear to you. I don't know how all these things have happened this morning. I have no idea. All right, well, I do have 3 videos for you, so we might as well go ahead and get started on the first one. And who knows how this is going to turn out, especially now. But regarding the lights on the pump, well, here's the status of all that. It's bright and early Friday morning, and no, the lights did not work last night. I came down here after our play along last night, and you know, there was no motion detected. Now, that means one of 2 things. Either those bulbs aren't what they say they are and they need some extra adapter or something, or I didn't wire it correctly. It's one of those 2 things. So let me get a regular bulb, we'll screw it in there and see if it lights up. Okay, I took this bulb out of my light that actually that's hit me in the stomach there, so I'll go into this one. And you know, I expect that I did something wrong in the wiring. That's what I'm expecting. But if this goes on, well, then it's something to do with those bulbs. So we'll see. Yep, I did something wrong with the wiring. You know, I did the testing up there, but I did what I guess I would call kind of like preliminary testing or light testing. I didn't do the in-depth test that I probably should have done in hindsight. And it's one of those deals where it's a 50-50 chance, and that means there's a 99.9% chance I'll get it wrong. If you don't get what I'm talking about, there's a white wire and there's a ground wire, and they look the same on this end. So I probably have those reversed, and pretty sure I got the hot wire where it goes because it tested hot, you know. But the other 2 were mediocre in their tests, so it was difficult, but I thought I had it right. But you know how that is. If there's a chance, it'll be wrong every time. So I got more work to do. For the record, I tested this side also, but I did think of at least one more possibility, maybe 2. One is that these you know, pipe sockets that I bought, maybe the connection's not making it, maybe it's not making connection with the bulb. So, you know, in other words, you screw them in, but yet it's not connecting to the bulb. So I'm going to test that real quick here before I tear everything apart and see if there's power inside the socket. If there is, then the bulb's just not making connection. I doubt there is, but you never know. It is a possibility, so I'm going to check that. Well, I'm getting like 72 volts, which probably indicates that I wired it wrong. I got the ground where I should have had the neutral or common, and you know, I probably reversed them. More than likely, that's what it is. I'm getting voltage, but I'm not getting enough voltage. I'm getting 72 volts, and most likely I'll get the same voltage on the other side, but I'm going to test that before I tear it apart just to make sure. This is the kind of test I should have done. Instead of just doing the preliminary test, I should have done the in-depth test. Yeah, 72 volts. So, almost for sure, I've reversed the wires. So, I'm going to turn off the power, get up there, take it apart, and see if that's the case. I fully realize you can't see what I'm doing, but I don't have a way to get the camera up there where it won't be in my way. So, I'll just give you a play-by-play, and I'll let you know what happens. First of all, I'll probably get electrocuted. Yes, I'm only getting 72 volts. So my guess is we've got the wrong wire. I'm going to try going to this other wire and see if that matters. Yep, 125. Just like I said, whenever there's a 50-50, there's a 99.9% chance I'll get it wrong. It's just a black and white given. Been that way my whole life, and it's just always going to be that way. I'm resigned to that fact. So now I'll turn the electric off, make one switch of wires, and it should work. right. I'll just double check to make sure the electric is off before I start here, because you know my luck. If I don't double check, there'll be a problem. Okay, my friends, we have it reversed. I believe the lights are back on. I think they are. Yeah, we got the electric back on. So I'm going to screw this in and see if it works. Pretty sure it will. Should. Yes, it does. See there? Like I said, in fact, you can take this to the bank. Murphy's Law ain't got nothing on me. I'm telling you right now. And just reversing the common and the ground wires, all it was. And ordinarily, that would still work, believe it or not, because they basically go back to the same place, except that in this shop, and pretty much anywhere on the farm except where I have improved it, there's no grounds. So I put a ground on this because I'm thinking and trust me, I have my main box grounded and all that, but the individual circuits, a lot of them just don't have ground wires on them. There's only a 2-wire circuit, you know. And so I'm doing the best I can with what I got to work with. I'm tempted to drive an extra ground rod to ground this. I know that's not normal. I know some people, electricians, will have a fit about that, but I think that's better than no ground. So, you know, especially if it's raining, somebody comes up here and leans up against this sucker, you know, it could potentially somehow have a problem, you know. I'm just saying, I don't know what the right answer is, but I may drive an extra ground rod in the ground and ground this circuit. Well, she's all back together, and these light bulbs actually did light up at first when I put them on there. I don't know if you can darken them out and make them come back on or not, but they did light up and then they went off. So anyway, we'll have to wait till dark to double test that the motion lights are actually working. We'll have to wait till after dark, but I think we have at least a 50-50 chance for them to work. So your guess is as good as mine if it'll work. 50-50. I'd say no. We'll see though tonight, and then I'll let you know on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, and the comment there is they both go back to the same place anyway. That's David's comment. Well, that's what I said in the video too. But the problem is they don't do that here on this farm. They don't go back to the same place. The problem is this whole farm was wired back in the days when 2 wires was all you got. You had a hot and a neutral, or a hot and a ground, whatever you want to call it, and that was all you had. Well, I've been adding the 3rd wire on everything I've done. So my 3rd wire in this particular case goes nowhere. That's why it didn't work. And so that's why I'm talking about maybe adding a ground just to that circuit. Because, running it all the way back to the box is a nightmare because it's all fished through walls and everything else. And so it just is what it is. When I first bought this farm, every single wall wart blew out on this. Every time we'd have a lightning storm, every time. I'm not making it up. I'm talking every time. I'd have to replace all the wall warts. I couldn't tell you how many disc network things blew out. I couldn't figure out why. Nothing was grounded here in this house. Even though they had run new 220 volt boxes in, they had new, electric in the house and the new boxes, but nobody drove a ground rod anywhere. There wasn't a ground going to anything. So I have straightened about 80% of all that out throughout the whole farm, really. But this particular circuit that I'm using for that gas pump, no, it's not grounded. So that's why I'm saying, it ain't easy being me. If it was easy, I'd already have it fixed. Trust me. I'm seriously telling you, you just have no clue. And if Bob did anything, well, then, you just have to throw that away. You just rip it out and throw it away. You can't fix what he did, especially with electric. You guys, I know most of you will remember, but how he made his electrical connections, and some of you probably think I'm exaggerating. I swear to you, my hand on a Bible, God is my witness, he made his electric connections like this. He took two wires, hooked them like that, hooked them together, that's it, and then put tape around it. That's it. He didn't twist them. They weren't twisted together, not at all, just like fish hooks, just like that, and then put tape around them. The first place that I noticed it was in our hall bathroom. Sue would say, the light didn't work. And I'd go in there and it would work, And she, well, it didn't work a minute ago. And, and then we'd flip it on and flip it off. And sometimes it would come on, sometimes it wouldn't. So I started taking all these things apart. And I found at least a half dozen connections that were made like that. So, yeah, there you go. So it's a miracle the place didn't burn down, but I have corrected a lot. I don't know that I've got it all, but I have corrected a lot, especially in electrical. Okay, after I did that, I did this. Well, I didn't know all this wood was back here. There's not a ton, but there's pretty close to our Ranger load here, so we'll load that up. I didn't even know this was back here, so I thought I might as well cut that up first. We always like to keep the dump under control so it doesn't get too big and keep it clean, We burn everything that we can burn. And we've got this whole pile of slabs, and there's a lot of firewood there. That's what I came back here to cut, but since I saw this other stuff, I thought, well, I'll cut it first. I don't think I'm going to film cutting the rest of it. I just thought I'd show you a little bit about what I'm doing on a Friday morning. Okay, so here's how much wood I got out of that pile there. That's a pretty big load of wood. It's got the axle splayed out. It's heavier than it looks. A lot of that's somewhat green. And I just left the small stuff here to burn. But that'll help heat the house, and since it's not getting as cold as it was, that'll help quite a bit. Yep, so here I did that, and then I dumped that up there at the furnace, and then built a fire there. Or I built the fire back up in the furnace, I should say. The fire was still going. And then after I got that done, I did this, I think. Let me find it here. Well, my friend, now that the urgent firewood situation is behind me, and now that I have corrected my mistake on the electric on the gas pump, it's on to this. And I've already started. I don't know if you can see all this, I guess it's red sawdust down there on the ground. And I had my PPE on, so I had my glasses and my respirator on. Because what I did was I took this rasp and ground out an area here so I could get a bigger pulley and get the belt on. So that's what I'm doing, or I'm going to attempt to do, is get a little bigger pulley on here. And that pulley's, you know, quite a bit bigger than this one, almost as big as that one. So it'll make it spin faster. Will it spin it fast enough? I would say odds are slim to zero that it'll make it spin fast enough. But that's okay. We can always reduce the size of this, and that'll make that spin faster. So let me get that all set up here, and I'll be right back with you. Well, I got it moved over. That's a job in itself. And I'm going to see if I can get it to go on here now. Yeah, it's on there. Wait, it's trying to come off though. There we go. It's producing something. I don't know if it's. Let me see if I can plug it into my light here. 50-50 chance you get the wrong one every time. Every time. Okay. I see no. Oh! Just because I was ready to check the light there, it had to come off. But I see no light flickering, so obviously we're still not fast enough. So what I'm going to do then is take this, turn this down, and I'm going to turn it down to a little smaller than this. This is a 5-inch pulley, so I'm going to turn this down to a 4-inch, and we'll see if that'll do it. Okay, my friends, we've got her all rigged up here. That's a 4-inch now. In fact, it's probably even slightly smaller than that, especially considering I got the groove pretty deep. But anyway, this is actually turning a little faster than that is out there. Maybe just 20% faster or something like that. Because this is a 5-inch, that's a 4-inch. But actually, now I look at it, this is going down in the slot further, so they're probably fairly close to the same size, although that one is a little smaller. All right, so anyway, I'm going to just see if I can see any voltage coming out of this thing. And we will always get it wrong, right? We'll get it backwards every time, probably. Well, that's AC. Let's go to DC. Well, we've increased it a little bit. We're getting as much as, the highest I see is 1.9 volts. The lowest I see is about 1.2 volts. So between 1.2 and 1.9 volts. So we've increased it a little bit because we never got to 1.9 yesterday. But yeah, the cogging effect is even worse today. You can just tell. It would be neat if it would work, but I don't expect it to work. Maybe if we go to, a 6-inch here and a 3-inch there, we might get it, but I doubt it. Honestly, I doubt it. But we might try that. But for today, that's all I can do. So I'm going to take that pulley back, that 5-inch, and I'm going to try to maybe get a 7-inch. I think I can still get 7 inches to work on there, I think. And that would be about the biggest one I can get to work on there without extending it out. And then if you extend it out, you got a lot more issues. You got to build a much bigger stand and much beefier stand, and it's going to vibrate more and be more flexible. And so there's nothing simple. So I'm going to see if I can just put a 7-inch on there, and then a 3-inch on the generator. And if I have to, I'll try a 2-inch on the generator. I can't go much smaller than that, though, because the generator has the shaft that comes out of there, out of that washing machine thing, is it's about a full inch or pretty close to it. And it has splines on it. And that's why I'm using wood, because I can drive the wood right on those splines, and it holds, So, anyway, it is what it is. Like I say. There ain't nothing simple. Rod Wentler was the first one in today, and then he says, Anatoly is a hoot. Reminds me of Andy Kaufman a bit. Yeah, that guy, he is crazy strong. I mean, like crazy strong. I never have researched him to see like how well he does in competitions and things, but I'd have to think he would win a lot of them. Because he is crazy strong. I mean, like you see those giant guys. I mean, these guys are massive. Giant chests, and their muscles are bigger than my legs. On their arms, and they grab these weights and they just struggle to get them up, and they're like this. And he walks over to him and he just picks it up like this and goes, "Is this what you guys are? Can I?" And he turns around with it, and he walks over and he sets it down. And he goes, "You guys are using the fake weights." And he's a little skinny guy. He's about half their size. It's so funny. Those guys just like freak out when they see him do this stuff. It's pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, there's a link in the description in case you want to check it out. David Tharp, howdy everybody. Great play along last night. Still stuck in Lexington. Well, there you go. Is that Lexington, Missouri? Because there is a Lexington, Missouri. They got a cannonball in their courthouse from the Civil War. It's stuck in the corner up high on the side of the courthouse. David Tharp says, I love deadlines. I really like the whooshing sound they make as they fly by. Yeah. Let's see. Ronald Todd says, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks in New Jersey. Joe Cool says, you are a rainbow of possibilities spreading color wherever you wander. You got the wrong guy, dude. First of all, I'm colorblind. Anyway, no, that's funny. Let's see. David Tharp, the English word Q is pronounced like the letter Q. All the rest of the letters are just lined up waiting. There you go. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon, Jerry. And he says, great show last night. Well, thank you. We are going to a jam this evening at the Highland Christian Church there in Rolla. If anybody is listening that wants to attend that tonight, it'll start around 6. It's you take 10th Street toward St. James, just out of Rolla. You can kind of tell when you're leaving the city of Rolla there. And at that point, you go about another 2 miles or approximately like that, give or take a half a mile or so. And it'll be on your right. It's right on the corner there of another road. It's the Highland Christian Church. Anyway, we're going to have fun tonight. I'm sure the whole band or the whole group that you're used to seeing here will be there, plus a few others. And probably Cash. He'll probably be there too. Let's see. David Tharp says, just checked on the plane. They were putting the seats back in. Like the monkey said when the streetcar ran over his tail. It won't be long now. Let's see. David Tharp says, but looking forward to a 50-knot headwind and a bumpy ride going home. Yee. Well, I pray for your safety, man. I hope everything goes well. Ronald says, keep the faith and a smile. Well, I have to do that to keep from crying, buddy. B.H. Ringer, good afternoon, everyone from Nova Scotia. Jeff Puris, David Thorpe, what are you flying? He's got his, he's flying a boiled egg in the morning. He says, a boiled egg in the morning is hard to beat. Yeah. I get it. By the way, I forgot, because the thing started on its own, which I'm sure is the reason, because it's Friday the 13th. Somebody else alluded to that in a comment I saw. And I was going to point out that it's Friday the 13th, but then I got all flustered because it started on its own. That's crazy. I don't even know how it started. I swear I don't. And then it switched back to that other screen after I thought we were live. I don't know. Things are spooky today. It's got to be the Friday the 13th thing. Tom Armstrong says, thinking about your vintage gas pump and service stations of old, wonder how those hose bell ringers worked that would ring when your car rolled. I believe it was air pressure. The line was filled with air, and when the car squished the line, that little bit of air pressure would push the dinger over and hit the bell. I believe it was air pressure. I'm almost 100% sure. William Skinner, live good. LD says, you are live. I didn't know it at the time. I'm glad you guys told me because I had no idea that it had done that. I'm sure I did not click that. Zacharat says, good. Ronald says, you passed the test. And right there's where I really was just making a comment. And maybe when I made the comment, maybe I accidentally, or maybe because I sent that, it somehow triggered the other thing. I have no idea. But that's about when we went live, right about the moment where I made that little comment there. What I was making the comment for was, I was like running a marathon trying to get all those videos put together so that we'd be ready for the vlog, and I had less than 3 minutes left, Oh, well. It's just not easy. Did you ever hear that? It's not easy being me. Mike Spivey says, Jerry, your test is good. It wasn't meant to be a test. Seriously, it wasn't. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. David Thorpe, is it normal to have one eye that's bigger than the other two? Yeah, that's normal. That happens all the time. David Thorpe, it works. Let's see. Bill Webb, Ghost in the Machine. Boy, I swear to you, it's got to be a combination of Friday the 13th and Bob the Spirit Man. Let's see. Gino Hitch. Hi, Jerry and friends. Enjoyed the show yesterday. It's cold again. You were on a little early. It must be Bob's ghost. I have a feeling it's got to be that and the 13th. It's got to be something like that. David Tharp, you are live, Jerry, with your testing. And I wasn't even testing. I swear I wasn't. I was just checking things out and making sure everything was working, and I wasn't like testing a live thing or anything like that, It just went live on its own. Bill Webb, I have a few comments and tried to watch more, but Ramona came in and sat down, and that was the end of that. Guy Bro says, happy Friday the 13th from Ruskin, Florida. And David Tharp, the shovel was truly a groundbreaking invention. Boy, wasn't it ever. Ronald says, when I set my PA, I say cash, not check. I think it's in the wind. I don't know if it's windy at your place. Okay. There's some disjointed thoughts there. That's the way I would describe that. At least they're disjointed in my brain. GPO Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. Would you think of relocating that beautiful gas pump up there by the wheelhouse so everybody driving in would see it? Well, that'd be okay, I guess, but hopefully they'll see it down here because I'm not moving it. Plus, I wouldn't have any electric up there. because I don't think we're going to get any electric out of the Waterwheel. I mean, we might. What I'm going to do is when I go in for the jam this evening, I'm going to return that 5-inch pulley, and I'm going to get at least a 7-inch, I think. And I think I can get 7 to work without having to modify everything. And then I'll reduce that other wooden pulley down to 3 inches and maybe even smaller. And that way it'll be turning twice as fast. You know, if as long as you get it down below the, I mean, if there's 7 and a 3.5, then it would be turning twice as fast. So making it 3, it's going to actually be turning a little bit faster than twice as fast. And that, I think, will be just fast enough to make some voltage, I think. But I'm not sure. I hope it will. Let's see. Don Nye says, "Hi, Jerry and friends. I know why you started earlier than before. It's Friday the 13th. Yeah, I think that you nailed it right there. Jeffrey Boyle has got his peace sign, a flag, and some cool glasses there. Bill Mumbo says, great play along last night. JD started to lose his nervousness toward the end. I hope he comes out and play again. Yeah, JD's a good guy. I really like him. Like I said, he's pretty much a legend in this area. The old-timers, him and several other ones, they're all gone now. JD's kind of like the last one. He's got a buddy still around, Jerry Rollins, which I was trying to get him here last night too, but he declined for whatever reason. Ronald says, awesome play along last night. Y'all did fine job. And Bev's flat top is a barker. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Bill Webb says, don't ever try to wire up potentiometers on an electric guitar. Very frustrating. I've done something with the pickups on an electric guitar. I think I rewound them or something one time. It's a long time ago. G&P Old Marine Shop. What kind of roof is on your shop? I have to re-roof a small 15 by 5 low-pitch roof. Well, most of these buildings here are just tin roofs. You know, I just put a tin roof on that my well house behind this house. I guess last summer, I guess it was, and that roof had decayed. It was a shingle roof, and it had decayed so badly that the roof started to rot out. And so I just cleared it all off, put some tar paper down, then put some metal roofing on it. I would recommend it if it's going to be an outside building and it's just a shed or something. I'd pretty much always recommend a metal roof on something like that. Just a corrugated metal roof. You get them at your home stores. Your big box stores. They do make it in different gauges. I mean, I don't think you really have to buy the thickest gauge, but obviously thicker is better. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. Ronald Todd, Jerry, I have to agree with you that you must be #1 fan of Murphy's Law Fan Club. I'm telling you. Yeah, he ain't got nothing on me. And like I said, I don't really have what I call bad luck like on the big things in life. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I swear I am. But old Murphy makes me pay for it on the little things. I'm seriously telling you, on the little things, you need to look out because it's going to happen if it can. Bill Webb says, Ramona is kind of like Sue when it comes to bluegrass music, just not interested. Yeah, that's pretty much... Actually, Sue seems to like bluegrass music. She just doesn't like my bluegrass music. And that's the truth. She seems to like Doyle Lawson, and she liked Tony Rice and things like that, but she just don't like me. Ronald Todd, thumbs up, everyone. Sundog Brewing, better safe than sorry, especially because of it being outside in the rain. Yeah, referring to the ground and all that. Yeah, I probably will. Ron says drive a ground rod. Yeah. Well, in fact, now that I think about it, I drove one hardly more than 10 feet away from there for my welder. My welder was not grounded. I mean, the circuit for the welder, and I didn't put that circuit in originally. It was there, and it wasn't grounded. And I kept getting shocked by the welder all the time. And man, I was getting shocked all the time. It was driving me crazy. And sure enough, I traced it down and it didn't have a ground. And so I drove a ground rod. I actually drilled through my concrete floor right there by my welding table in the shop and drove a ground rod right down through the middle of the concrete floor and stopped all that problem. It's worked perfectly ever since. So maybe I'll just find a way to run a copper wire over and connect it into that circuit. Maybe that's what I'll do. That'll work. That'll do it. It's close enough that way, and I think that might be the easiest solution. Let's see. Lost my place. Okay. Empress John says, I told you yesterday Bob was in the background photo. Now he has a sign saying, Jerry, drive a ground rod. I want to light you up. Be careful, Jerry. Bob is lurking. Yeah, I kind of agree. Simon Jardine, I saw his message earlier. He had asked about the specialized clothing I wear, and I thought it was a good question, Simon. I see that you've retracted. I guess that's the one you retracted. I don't know. But anyway, it was about the special clothing I wear when I'm chainsaw cutting, and I do recommend wearing those chainsaw chaps when you're cutting with a chainsaw. JD is a good example. The fellow that was here last night, he I don't know, it was one of the times he brought his mandolin in. We got to talking about chainsawing or something, how much wood I was cutting or whatever, and he pulled up his pants leg and he got a giant cut across his leg right in here. I mean, it looked bad. And yeah. But those chainsaw chaps, they have fibers in them, and as soon as the fabric gets cut, these fibers just suck into that blade, and they just choke the blade down. They choke the saw down. It's amazing how well it works. How do I know? I've used it. I've cut into those chainsaw chaps by accident a time or two. Not very hard, or not enough to go through and hit my leg, I don't think, but just lightly touched it, and boy, they work. It's amazing how well they work. So if anybody's using a chainsaw, I recommend you go ahead and get those chainsaw chaps. I also recommend you get the helmet and the face guard too. And that helmet has the hearing protection in it also. Let's see. Empress John, really enjoyed the show last night. Glad JD is preserving the old-time music. Yeah, unfortunately, none of us are preserving much anymore because we're kind of like the last of a dying breed here. Sundog Brewing, last night I saw an old episode of the Nutmeg Tavern on YouTube, and it was all about Morel mushrooms, and I thought of you. They are in Indiana, and just thinking of it's time for you to go looking. Yeah, it's getting real close to the time. I think the earliest I've ever found them is like March 28th, I think. So, we're real close to the time, and I'm anxious to get started looking. Plus, it's good exercise. Walking, I literally walk these hills. And that's the other myth is there are so many myths about the Morel mushrooms. It's just unbelievable. But the truth of it is, it's not like most of the crud you hear. They'll grow just about anywhere. Now, there are certain things that they like better than others. In Missouri, at least in our area, the key is finding elm trees. If you find elm trees, I'm not saying you'll find morels, but you've just upped your odds by at least 15 or 20% by the fact that you found an elm tree. And you start looking around those elm trees, that's where you will find the morel mushrooms most often. Now, having said that, you can find them in other places. They will be in other places, but you've upped your odds a lot if you look around elm trees. And there's an elm grove up on this hill behind the house up this way, and it's pretty high up on the hill, and it's a pretty good walk. So I walk up there, and that's one of the places where I found the most of them. It's up on the hill. Now, that defies conventional wisdom, and it defies the myth that they're always in the valley. They're in the low spots. They're in those damp, wet areas. Well, they are sometimes, and they are sometimes, but they're also in a lot of other places. So you can't just go by what they say. The next biggest myth of all, though, is that you can grow them yourself. That is the biggest bunch of baloney there ever was. I just watched a video a day or two ago where the guy says, "I've figured out how to grow them, you might," and then he went through, and it was all kinds of just stock footage of finding them out in the woods and stuff, and he didn't grow crap. It was obvious to me, being in the woods a lot and seeing them grow wild, that these were all wild grown mushrooms. He didn't grow them. So anyway, you didn't ask for any more. I mean but you got it, and it was free. So there you go. Hugh O'Connor. Hugh O'Connor, it might be an idea to cover the hole in the wall there where the water wheel axle comes through. Yeah, you could. Really, no water comes through there, believe it or not. Not any. I guess occasionally a drop maybe, but nothing comes through there. So I left that there in case I have to make any kinds of adjustments or tear it out or move it or something. So I could still close it off, but nobody's sleeping in there, so it really don't hurt nothing. Also, it lets it kind of air it out that way. Wayne Blitz, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Hope all is well with everyone. Keep it safe. Simon Jardine, this is the one where he made that comment. So he says, why are there specific chainsaw clothing? Yep. Well, I answered that one, so... David Tharp says, when I found out my toaster wasn't waterproof, I was shocked. Well, drive a ground rod, okay? Right through your counter table, your counter there in the kitchen. Just drive a ground rod straight on through down to solid ground and run a wire over to your toaster. You'll be fine. David Tharp, please try and record the service tonight. You're talking about the jam session? Maybe I might try it a little bit. It's one of those deals where a lot of the people there, they really don't even want to be on camera or anything. So I don't know. We'll see. David Tharp says, flying a PA 32R 300. That's a Piper Lance. Well, I can fly a paper Lance. I can, paper, no problem. Cup of Cool, 100% air pressure made the bells ring. Yep, that's what I thought too. Tom Armstrong, how long did it take to make your mandolin? I don't know. It don't take me as long as most people think. I think around, give or take, maybe 10 hours, give or take about 10 hours. I would say in the neighborhood of 45 hours. So it might be less, it might be more, but I'd say around 45 hours, because I kept track pretty good one time, and it was less than I ever thought it was. So anyway, in that ballpark. Of course, you can't do it all in, a week, even though it's only 40 or 45 hours. You can't do it in a week because you've got all that dry time and all that stuff. Billy Dink Music says, perhaps you shared previously, what are your preferred or favorite mandolin strings? For me personally, off the shelf, I would go with GHS or Diodario, either one of those. In fact, I use Diodario probably more often, but either one of those, but the phosphor bronze. The Diodario is the J74, I believe. I would use the mediums. And then I also use the J75s in the Diodario, which is the heavies, or they call them heavy. They're a little bit stronger. You got to have a good mandolin to use the heavies, though, and mine will handle that no problem. But that gives you a lot more volume, a lot more punch, the heavier you go. The Diodaros, I think it's called the A270, if I'm not mistaken, which is their phosphor bronze. I'm sorry, the GHS is A270. The Diodaros is J74. Those are the two most common ones that you can get. Now, if you have a mandolin that sounds kind of thin or tinny and you want to make it sound more bassy and more, more lower-like, I guess you'd say, I would go with the GHS LS250s. Those are the silk and steel. Now, they have a silk and phosphor bronze, but I'm not impressed with those. The silk and steel is the ones that knocks the tone flatter. If you have a mandolin that needs to be toned down, where it's just got too many highs, definitely I would recommend the silk and steel, the LS250s. They're harder to find. I used to carry them all the time. I probably even still have a set down there, but anyway. Let's see, moving on around here. Simon Jardine, if the light in the pump was powered by the Waterwheel, what would be cool use of free power and a nice sight as visitors? Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, it would be cool. I don't expect that to happen, but it would be cool. Garland Edmondson, I'm 80 years old, but 3 sets of shingles on went to metal to outlive me. P.S. Like to play along last night. Cool. Yeah, the metal roofs typically last a very, very, very long time. The shingle roofs, 20, 25 years max, probably. You're lucky to get that many years out of them, really. Yeah, I would even say you probably won't get that many years out of them, especially these days. Seems like everything has gotten cheaper and cheaper. Cheaper made, not cheaper price. Bill Mumbo, look at his back catalog and watch the building of several instruments. Yeah, there are quite a few videos out there that you can see of building my mandolins from scratch. There is one out there on the mandolin I'm playing presently. It's called The World's Finest Mandolin Ever Built by a Human. Just slightly bragging. But actually, that was just a goal. That I tried to state that clearly in the videos, that I'm not saying this is the world's finest or will be the world's finest. It's just that it should be your goal to build the world's finest instrument. If you're going to build a guitar or build a mandolin or violin, you should be trying to build the world's finest one. I mean, that should be your goal. And that was my goal. Did I do it? Probably not, but it's a pretty good mandolin. Let's see. Bill Mumbo. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Rod Wentler. Martins show up. Did they show up? No, but as I was running around this morning doing all that stuff, I saw one dark bird on the perch of one of the houses, and I was whizzing by, and I saw it kind of as out of the peripheral, and I didn't see it in time to really tell what it was. I think that could have been a martin, but later I didn't see it, so I don't know if it really was, or maybe that was a starling or something. So I'll have to go down there and get on sparrow and starling patrol, but I just haven't had time to do that. But so far, I haven't seen them. Bill Mumbo, Mr. Rose is showing us what fun guy he is. Morel, please. Yeah, I really do like the Morel hunting. It's a lot of fun. It's really good exercise, especially when you're in an area like this. I mean, these hills are nothing to sneeze at. You would not believe how steep some of these hills are that we're walking up and down to find those mushrooms. So if anybody wants to come out and walk up and down them with me, feel free to come on out. GPO Marine Shop, just curious, being from your parts during the Civil War, would you have been a rebel or a Yankee? I would have definitely been on the Union side, I have to say. I don't believe in the slavery thing at all. At all. Let's see. I was a slave too long myself. I lost my place. I lost my place. I don't know where it is. Looking for that comment just now about the Civil War, but I don't see it. Isn't that weird? There it is. David Tharp. So what if I don't know what apocalypse means? It's not the end of the world, you know. So what if I don't know? I see. It's the emphasis. You got to put the right emphasis on the correct syllable. Billy Dink Music, thank you for the string recommendation. You're welcome. Gino Hitch, David, where are you located? Okay, let's see. Then Tom Armstrong. So your reaction when you first heard your mandolin after stringing it up? You know, I've done it a number of times, so it wasn't too big of a reaction, and it was about what I expected. Again, it sounds, I guess it probably sounds conceited, but I don't mean for it to. I'm really not too surprised because I build them exactly the same every time. I carve them to the specs that my uncle's mandolin was carved to, and I measured in thousands of inches. And so far, they all sound almost the same. I mean, there's a little difference, but very little difference. They pretty much sound the same. I would say in a blind test, most people would really have a tough time telling one from the other. You know, like, which one are you playing now? Well, there's a couple that you would probably be able to tell because they're made out of different materials. But the ones that are all made out of the same basic materials, I don't think you'd hear any difference at all. And like the one I made with the redwood top, I think you could probably hear a little difference in that one, but not a lot. And like maybe the ones I make with the sycamore back and sides, you might hear a little difference in that, but again, very little, hardly any really. So, you know, so my reaction was about like what I expected, you know, because I've heard it so many times now, you know. My reaction would be really bad if it didn't turn out the same, you know. David Tharp, I live in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, but Lexington, Kentucky today. Oh, so you're not up there in Lexington, Missouri, so you can't see the cannonball. I didn't think you were there, just for the record. Bruce Moore, the problem you had getting started today could be because of Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's what I was alluding to. It has to have something to do with that. It started on its own. I swear, I don't think I did that. I really don't. Gino Hitch, cool. I have a cousin who used to live in Poplar Bluff. Okay. I've been to Poplar Bluff, but back when I was real little, and I haven't been there since. Cannonball in the church wall is cool, but I worry about the buckshot holes around my back door. Wife says, if you're going to be late, better knock loud. I'd be beating on a pot and pan as I was coming up on that one. See, Gino Hitch, David, I was born in Millsburg, Kentucky. Oh, cool. 79 years ago. Pat K says, do you expect a break-in period with a newly built instrument? Well, yeah, I think especially when they're brand new, in pretty much any instrument, you'll hear them go through some changes. But what they sound like on day one gives you a good indication of where you're headed, you know. But yeah, I think all instruments go through some changes. And, you know, that's why somebody asked me, you know, about something about aging an instrument. I forgot what it was now, the specific question, but one of the things you can do to help improve that sound and get it there quicker is to use a good paste wax on your finish. It's a good thing to do. Got to be careful with waxes and things. The paste waxes are really hard to get off. So just put them in small areas, buff it out real good, put it in another area, just overlap them as you go, but don't try to do the whole instrument at once or you're going to be sorry. It's hard to get that stuff off of an instrument, but it helps your finish cure up and get hard, which is what makes them sound better. Let's see. Wavy Gravy, my wife asked me why I'm so uninformed and apathetic about most everything. So I told her, I don't know and I don't care. Good answer. Good answer. You should be on Family Feud. Good answer. GMPO Marine Chef, mandolin strings seem to last longer tone-wise than guitar, but I'm no pro. Well, I'll tell you what it is for me with mandolin strings is I prefer them to be old on a mandolin. On a guitar, I prefer them to be new. So, like on a guitar, they sound dead. On a mandolin, they tone it down some, and they make it, I don't know, they give it that bigger thump, when they're brand new brassy, they sound pretty good, depending on your mandolin, but to me, they sound better when they get older. It's way different on a guitar. You don't want them old on a guitar. Let's see. White Dragon. Greetings, Jerry. Long time no see. Well, glad you're here. David Tharp. One of our biggest problems is apathy, but who cares? I'm right there with you, David. Well, that looks like we got through the comments there. Thank you all for being here. Sorry about the weird start on this one. Stuff happens is all I can tell you. It's Friday the 13th, and old Bob's looking over my shoulder, I guess. Y'all take care. We will see you Monday, if not before. Take care.